Do you live in an area where drinking water comes out of your faucet 24 hours a day? Did you know that California, Texas, and other states are in a water crisis with dry lakes and the Colorado River? Are you aware of the amount of toxic liquids that are dumped into the water in homes and industries that must then be treated in plants that must clean the water to return into our homes? Do you know that the rivers in Europe are dry and that the heat levels have reached dangerous limits? Did you know that we are experiencing the effects of the acceleration of climate change and that our task is to act with changes in our lifestyle in order to make the planet livable for our children? Deforestation. Do you know the relationship between the forest and the jungles with the production of water? Do you know why trees are important in controlling air pollution? Do you know the importance of the Amazon in the climate balance? Food crisis. Do you know that the world is experiencing the biggest food crisis in many years? Do you know that the crisis is largely due to the alteration of climate due to the effects of the acceleration of climate change? Food self-sufficiency. Do you know that after the pandemic, the food distribution channels worldwide were broken and that after a long time of globalization, now each country and each region of the world is concerned about being self-sufficient? The surprises in this 21st century do not stop, although there are surprises only for some because analyzing the background, things that we saw one day in science fiction movies were going to come true, not to mention how the pandemic shook the foundations of civilization. This event seems like a cascade of headlines straight out of an apocalyptic movie. There is an economic war in Europe which alerts the thought that humanity had overcome these errors. This war could have many names. It could be called the last war for oil, but it could also be called the war for bread, due to the effect of wheat and other cereal shortages, of which the opposing countries are dominant exporters. As we head towards a new Cold War with not just two poles but three or more forces in action, all this for the dominance in the production of semiconductors, software and technology, food, metals and other products that determined to be world powers at the time of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. All this gives us the motive to have a stance and talk about the possibility of war for a vital product such as water. With what is happening today, it will not be surprising to see headlines such as "Ships loaded with illegal French bread arrested." This is the time where they are trying to negotiate the exit of wheat from Ukraine in the face of imminent global shortages, and incidentally, a possible famine as well. Although there are fundamental headlines which occur every day and are underrepresented and uncared for, UN warns of catastrophe due to the global food shortages. In December 2020, water began to be listed in the stock market. People still feel the need to put these problems past them instead of preparing for the war soon to arrive in an exponential manner. This last headline is not something trivial, it's not just any news. It means that drinking water is reaching its limit of availability and is already becoming one more commodity added to others such as oil, natural gas, coffee, wheat, that it will have a price and contradicts the fact that water is considered a fundamental right by United Nations. The first megacity in the world to experience the water crisis was Cape Town. The authorities dated the disaster April 22, 2018. That day, the city will be left without a water supply due to the drought. Mexico City and Sao Paulo are the megacities closest to a water crisis according to experts, and the list will surely grow little by little. In capital cities, intermediate cities, and towns, they have complex problems every day to bring drinking water to their inhabitants. Let's see some examples of hundreds or thousands in the world. California has a water crisis, but usage is on the rise. Advocates said officials are focusing on the wrong problem, CNN. Crisis due to lack of drinking water in Texas. There are those who collect it from roofs and leaks, NBC Universal. Monterrey and Nuevo León are currently facing a crisis due to the lack of water, which has led to cuts in supply, measures to reduce consumption, increases in rates, and even fines of watering the garden and washing the car using drinking water. Zacata. The water apocalypse, the coming crisis. To prevent the water from running out and we feed life, immediate actions are necessary. Cuts for days will become more common until it has to be supplied by the government in much smaller rations than we currently use. Industry uses more than 14% of water consumption, while agriculture uses 70%. Both sectors exploit aquifers to produce goods that are then sold to consumers. The problem with the concessions granted to the industry is that the cost of this liquid is not what it should, but rather a much cheaper one. UNAM Mexico Gazette. And then we have another big problem. The big industries need a lot of water to produce. And it's not just the big beer or soft drink companies. We have known how much water is needed to produce denim or to produce lithium for batteries. To have a more precise context, this is UNESCO test. The global volume of fresh water in liquid state is less than 1% of all water on Earth in form of ice or steam. It is estimated to be 10.6 million cubic kilometers. Approximately 99% of this volume is groundwater. The extraction of fresh water from artificial streams, lakes, aquifers, and reservoirs has increased dramatically over the last century and continues to increase in most parts of the world. We did not expect a war in Europe in the 21st century, which makes us wonder, how far are we from having wars over water? There are already small wars between populations, between cities, the rivers are polluted, and there are water factories succumbing to mining and the so-called progress that makes cities grow, devouring the countryside and natural vegetation. Will we go from the war of bread to the war of water?